You can love them or you can hate them, but it's undisputed the importance of the sport genre inside of the industry. Not just because it records millions of dollars in sales per year, but also because it has a huge amount of loyal fans that want to incarnate their favorite sports star. From the most realistic simulators that try to replicate as close as possible the experience of the sport, to the 100% arcade titles, where the simplicity and little attachment to reality let anyone to have a good challenge with friends. Whether if you don't know the difference between a touchdown and a touchback, or if you have no idea what the hell is an infield hit, prepare your thumbs to a good exercise session with the titles that confirm our top 10 best sport games. The Canadian superstar Wayne Gretzky led his image in 1996 to one of the best and more spectacular games of hockey, Wayne Gretzky Street Hockey. The action is extremely fast and rampant, with matches between teams of 3 players, and, as it would be expected in a title of the 90s developed by Midway, there is an almost no application of the official rules for this sport, so we'll have shocks and pushes for bunches, the possibility to fire the puck to realize practically indefensible shots, and of course the most classical fights bare knuckles between players. As it was expected, this is a game highly recommend to play with friends. In fact, this title was the first in all the catalog of the Nintendo 64 that permit a multiplayer mode for 4 people simultaneously. So nothing better to break the ice in a meeting than with a really good match of Wayne Gretzky Street Hockey.
Looking to score, the shot is blocked.
A complete success in Arcadias, and considered one of the best plays in the legendary Dreamcast catalog. Virtual Tennis shows us a gameplay very dynamic and extremely simple, which is so friendly with the player that in a short time we will move for all the court like Roger Federer, making volleys and spectacular setbacks. The speed is so fast that we will have to get well-turned our sense to answer the serves of our opponents, which have a really aggressive AI that will show us an excellent challenge. The single-player mode is very extensive and addictive, including funny minigames to improve our skills with the racket, and of course could not be missed the multiplayer mode, where we can dispute really anthology matches in double or single mode. In a few words, this is Pong with steroids. Can anyone resist that? Developed by the deceased Tecmo, this was one of the few games of the NES catalog that allow us matches up to 4 simultaneous players in fierce encounters where things like fouls, offside, or criminality simply does not exist, so feel free of tackling and sweat behind the times you want. Moreover, until the ball becomes an immortal weapon to knock your opponents. Here, the only that counts is the score goals. Does not matter the traps that we use to get them. Simply funny and with all the sense of a special humor in the series of Kunio-kun. Nintendo World Cup may not be the best example of the fair play, but definitely at the time of kicking, no one will dare to show the red card. All action of the called spectacular sport is represented in our top with the sequel of the amazing WCW Versus NWO World Tour, bringing us all that make really cool its predecessor, but with the double of spectacularity, something like a good crossbody from the third rope. We had a complex control system but easy to assimilate, in which we used all and each of the control buttons of the Nintendo 64 in different combinations to perform various punches, logs, crossbodies, and of course, the essential finishers unique of each fighter. The roster was huge, with more than 60 selectable characters formed by superstars of the Sting, WCW, and the original creations of the developers of Aki Entertainment, who are very colorful and give the game a unique personality. Excellent graphics and gameplay, hundreds of different movements, personalized options, and one multiplayer mode really intense which is able to destroy friendships. These are some reasons that make WCW Versus NWO Revenge or King of the Ring. The sequel of the mythical Tecmo Bowl is for a lot of people the best football game of all time. This is because behind his apparently simplicity, it hides an incredible gameplay that has not expired since it was launched in 1991. Groups of 8 players and a playbook with only 8 possible selections. There are factors that add dynamism to the game and prevent the player to overwhelm with too many options to be able to concentrate on the action of the grid. The game is so popular that it's still maintaining players entertained since it was released 20 years ago, with hundreds of tournaments taking place around the world, even existing a fan community dedicated to update the game year after year, with the colors, logos, roster, and statistics of the actual teams, not only distributing the game digitally, also the cartridge in a physical way so you can enjoy it directly on your NES and live again those glory years. Tecmo's Super Bowl still that important, rivaling with the other game of the Sir ex-coach of the Oakland Raiders, and taking place in the hearts of the gamers lovers of the football. A game that shows how extreme is the skateboarding without the necessity of getting out to scrape the knees. Tony Hawk Pro Skater represent a whole watershed in this moment, because video game based in extreme sport that were published until that time were really poor and unattractive to gamers. But this title, developed by the Supervision who made the very same Birdman, was not just an excellent sport simulation, but also a result extremely funny and full of replay. The physics of the game was simply extraordinary. The way the skate moves is very realistic. For that, it was required a lot of ability to land the tricks in a good way or do grinding on the pipes and railings. And if you don't, the skate would suffer the consequences of rebounding dramatically on all the stage. But it was so great that we did it on purpose in uncountable times. Definitely a game that shows to an entire gamer generation the truly significance of the word extreme. In 2006, Nintendo Wii changed radically our way to play video games, because we only rest our butt comfortably in our chairs. But then we were invited to get up and shake our body with the Wii mode to submerge into action. And what a better way to show us the capacities of the new Nintendo console than with a title that came as a gift with the first edition of the system. And it resulted so amazing that quickly became more than a simple demonstrative game. It converted into one of the best and better remembered titles in the console. The game includes 5 sports: tennis, boxing, baseball, golf, and bowling. Each one is specially designed to show us the performance of the movement sensor of the Wii mode. So we use the control to do our serves, setbacks, and volleys in tennis, to fan and pitching in baseball, to swing in golf, to throw the ball in bowling, and use it in conjunction with the nunchuck to hit in boxing. At the end of all, the set result very funny and really puts us to sweat like no other game could do it before. No other game can catch the emotion and excitement of the athletics that track and field, famous to leave our fingers painful and full of blisters, and also one or more useless controls. The game is composed by different athletics tasks like the 100-meter race, long jump, javelin throw, hurdles races, high jump, and others. To make our character run, we have to press the action buttons as quick as possible. The better we do it, the more speed our athlete will get. This peculiar control system invites you to invent your own techniques to press the buttons like crazy and not to get exhausted in the attempt. Practically, it was like our fingers can feel the pain and fatigue of our athlete when compete. But that was the little price to pay for obtaining the best records and presume to our friends. A whole festival of button meshes that make so funny that definitely make track and field win a place in the Olympus of video games. There is no boxing game more iconic than the Great Punch-Out on the NES, a classic game that tastes our reflexes and our patience, becoming immediately one of the preferred titles by hardcore gamers, thanks to its high level of difficulty that requires a good observation skills to identify opponent attacks patterns and take advantage of their movements of weakness. In its first edition, this game had the title Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, in honor to the colored worst men in the planet. You can imagine the reason it was changed. We had to face face in the final match none other than the ex-heavyweight champion Mike Tyson in a battle full of blood where if you don't know what to do, you can finish knockout in less than 15 seconds. Later, Nintendo changed the title as simply as Punch Out, and Tyson was removed from the game. You know, things that happen when you are called the worst man in the world. A game that requires to bring out your best pugilistic skills and you... if you want to conquer. The Versus sport is probably the one who had the best games throughout history, but certainly the most iconic of all of them is the legendary NBA Jam. What's the reason of its huge success? No rules. You just need to pick your favorite team of NBA, a couple of players, and ready. We will instantaneously immerse into action of a frantic basketball game 2 versus 2, where we can push and crowd our opponents without mercy. Last but not least, we can make a spectacular slam dunk several feet in the air in a highly exaggerated way like players were a Superman. All in order to humiliate our opponents and leave them planted in the court. NBA Jam is so good that will catch you even if you hate sports, and is one of those games that is obligatory to play at least one time in your life, especially combined by someone else, because there is no better feeling than making a super slam dunk and scream that famous phrase of Tim Kitzroff, "Boom shakalaka!" This was our top 10 best sport games. We hope you enjoy it, and please tell us, which is your favorite? Did you like our selection? Which of your favorite games was left off? Your opinion is really important to us, so comment, subscribe, visit our channel, and follow us on our social networks to find even more content. And of course, keep playing!